Ole Miss got to win 7-6, but man, that was a rough outing for the Rebels. Let's talk about it. This is the Locked On Ole Miss podcast.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Ole Miss podcast, the most watched Ole Miss podcast out there. I'm your host, Stephen Willis, a 10-year veteran member of the national media with Yahoo Sports and a former Ole Miss staff member as well. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Now it's the #1 sports podcast network in America. That's all because of fans like you taking in content like this, and we cannot be more appreciative of that. On today's show, we will talk about the scariness that was midweek baseball against the Arkansas State Red Wolves. Ole Miss won 7-6, but there were problems that basically developed during the game. Credit to Ole Miss for being able to overcome them. It's a lot easier to work on this stuff when you win the game. But Ole Miss struggled at times fielding the baseball, and that was a concern that we had going into this season. We'll talk about that. All of this and more on today's Locked On Ole Miss podcast. Remember, we're free and available on all the podcast apps and on YouTube. And a special hello to the insiders and everydayers who make the show what it is, and that is your team every day. This episode is brought to you by Mazda. We put that same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment. Putting in the work, well, that defines you. Stay tuned for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward, because there's more to Mazda, because there's more to you. All right. This was a big win for Ole Miss. We've talked the whole time. The non-con for Ole Miss this year is about stacking wins. So you have some stuff in your quiver, so to speak, once this ridiculous SEC slate starts. And Ole Miss hit the ball pretty well. Colin Reuter hit a home run. Braden Randall hit the game-winning sacrifice fly in the bottom of the ninth to win the game 7-6. But it was I think it was the second inning. Maybe it was the third inning. There was 3 unearned runs scored, 4 errors in that inning. Ole Miss had an error on a pickoff attempt to second base. It caused a little bit of PSD for those who watched the Murray State series in the regional a year ago. It wasn't fun. It wasn't anything that you were looking forward to, and it was a struggle. It was a grind from that point on, because after that inning, Arkansas State knew that they could win the game. They started a guy who was a Friday night starter for them a year ago. Arkansas State came here with the idea that they were going to win the game, and Ole Miss was able to scratch and claw and fight until they won the game. So full credit to everybody winning the game, but it was not the perfect appearance. There were problems fielding the ball, especially the bunt coverage for Ole Miss. Some reason that has to work. Maybe it's a slowness factor coming off the back of the grass and trying to get there. Maybe it's something else, but they are having trouble with bunt coverage at the moment. And 2 times in this game, Ole Miss committed an error on a pickoff attempt on second base. One time, the person they were throwing the ball to was completely behind the base runner that was already standing up on the bag. It was one of those things that the ball didn't even need to be thrown, and that's how that 3-run inning for Arkansas State that kind of got this started began. So it's one of those weird things. After this game, Owen Kelly, 3 unearned runs. I will say this. He did throw strikes, but there were a couple of times that I wasn't exactly thrilled. Walker Hooks, and he just didn't have it tonight. He struggled to throw strikes. He was the one pitcher that kind of got the walksies from time to time, and it just wasn't good. Now, JP, what's his name? The third reliever. Sorry, I closed a window. JP Robertson, 5 strikeouts, 45 total pitches, 29 strikes. He was a flamethrower at the end of the game, and I was joking on our Discord tonight that it's a pretty bold strategy whenever you're a questionable team playing defense that you have a pitch to contact pitcher, 2 of them in a row going into the game. once the flamethrowers came in of Robertson and Koenig, it was kind of over. But it took to that point for it to happen. Now, my boy, Dom Decker, 1 for 4 and got the all-important RBI that tied the game up on a walk. His eye at the plate, fantastic. Udemark, 1 for 4 as well. He did score 2 runs. He was kind of a menace on the base paths. He's so big running on the bases. It's weird. Will Furnace drew the collar, although he did score a run on a walk. Colin Reuter was 2 for 4, hit the home run. Daniel Pacella, 1 for 5. Austin Foley, 3 for 5. Good day for him. And it's good to see him get going. Braden Randall, 1 for 3. I think he walked a couple of times as well. Hayden Federico, 2 for 4. They hit the ball pretty well, and that's pretty good. Now, because usually with the temperatures, the Ole Miss batting lineup heats up. So when it gets a little bit warmer, the Ole Miss is going to become more of a force hitting the ball. Maybe that's some of the gorilla ball that they do from time to time. I'm not 100% sure there, but stringing together the hits that they got tonight, that's nothing to shake your stick at. 13 hits for the game. Ole Miss walked 4 times. They didn't walk a lot. Arkansas State did a good job of throwing strikes, although at times, listen, in the 8th inning after Dom Decker walked in the run, the bases were loaded with no outs. So bases loaded, no outs. You just tied the game on a walk. All you need is a pop fly at that point, and you are up going into the 9th, and this thing ends about 15 minutes early, But Ole Miss, Judd Udemark struck out, Will Furnace struck out, and then Becerra hit the fly ball to the center fielder. He was the only one that made contact. If Becerra would have been the first, the beginning of that, Ole Miss would have won the game earlier than they did. You can't strike out in that situation. You have to put the ball in play. You have to make it to where the other team has to make a play. To me, there's not much excuse for striking out in both of those situations. I don't understand that. But as it sits, Ole Miss struck out for the game. Let's see how many times they struck out 9 times. And Daniel Pacella struck out 3. That wasn't involved in this situation, but he had a rough night tonight. So when you look at this team moving forward, how do you fix it? Well, you need to put the ball in play more, which was a goal going into the season. Not so much 3 outcome type stuff. Hit the ball, make the defense move, make the players and the chess pieces move around, and force college baseball players to make plays. If you don't do that, it can be problematic. Whenever you start striking out, it becomes easy. Everybody loves the home run. Everybody loves the wow plays. But the reality is the biggest contact of the night was by Braden Randall, and it was a sacrifice fly that moved runners. So that is worth remembering as well. All right, when we come back, we'll turn our attention to Jackson State and just kind of start talking about Missouri State, about what we want to see in that game. Until then, this is the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. This is Mazda's moving the game forward for those who show there's more to the score than what's on the screen. Tonight, we're celebrating Coach Yo getting the win over the Tennessee Vols in the Pavilion tonight. An unbelievable performance and a must-win game. Excellent by the Lady Rebs. Now you have LSU, you have South Carolina in game day. All of that can help this basketball program host an NCAA tournament round, which they should be on pace to do with a win in one of those 2 games. They deserve your support for the LSU game on Thursday night. If that place can be packed out, it deserves to be packed out. These remind us what it really takes to raise the bar. It's that extra work off the court, dialing in every detail, giving it that extra fire, that grit, that I never quit. They put that same passion into every model, highlights that make the real, because what it took to get there makes it count. There's more to Mazda because there's more to you. Check out a Mazda dealer for a test drive today. All right, ever wanted to experience the NCAA Finals live and in person? FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into a reality with the NBA Sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use the profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win the NBA Finals trip for two. That's right, flights, ticket, the whole experience. If you're already looking at the board thinking about which team could make a deep run, this is the perfect time to lock it in. Love futures this time of year, whether it's picking the team to win the championship or grab conference titles. It adds an extra layer of excitement to every game down the stretch. And now, not only can you pick cash, you can also send yourself to the finals. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use the profit boost on NBA futures and get entered for a chance to win the trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and one position you have to fill still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need to make the right hire, time for Indeed sponsored jobs. Indeed sponsored job helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for, either through skills, experience, or location, so you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute that I've been talking to you, the companies like yours, have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all the boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Spend less time searching. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is the time for Indeed sponsored jobs. And the listeners to this show will get $75 in sponsored job credit to help you get the job the premium status it deserves with Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support your show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. All right. Thank you. Do us a favor and like, subscribe, and comment on this video. Subscribe to the podcast on whichever audio podcast you're listening to it on, and give it a 5-star review. It costs nothing, but it keeps all of this free. Thank you for making Locked On your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network in America. You already live your team every day. Now take it up a level and go ad free. Join the Everydayer Club today and get Locked On Ole Miss with no interruptions, a members-only Discord access, and more, all for just $5 per month or $50 per year. Go to lockedonolemist.supercast.com or check the link out in the show notes to learn more. All right. So before we get out of here, Ole Miss takes on Jackson State tomorrow night. It's another opportunity for the midweek pinching. They have to figure that stuff out. I don't know what I feel about Owen Kelly at this moment. I don't know what I feel about Walker Hooks. It's the first game of the season. It's possible to have an off day the first time you go out there. So I do think they need another run out next week when they do the midweek. But who the starter is tomorrow will be very important as well. Now, we're going to take your comments in just a second, but I want to give Coach Yo all the props in the world. The Lady Rebs beat the Tennessee Volunteers tonight for a big, massive win in their hopes to host a NCAA tournament regional pod in the Pavilion. That's what we want. Remember, Coach Yo, when she first got here, they played South Carolina and lost the game like 100-20. It was completely one-sided. Now, Coach Yo is going to take this same Lady Rebels team and go to Columbia, South Carolina as a part of college basketball game day. And that is pretty cool indeed. All right, so let's take a little bit of time to talk about what's going on. We have, let's see. Chance from Wesson, good teams find a way to win. That is absolutely the case. Good teams do find a way to win, and it is a real easy to have the conversation is we've got to be better fielding the ball. We've got to make the routine plays. We have to do that after a W than if Ole Miss lost to Arkansas State tonight, which for a large portion of the game, you thought that was going to happen. Interesting. Joey Shelton says, good to see Ole Miss at their absolute worst still beat Arkansas State. And Arkansas State's a good team. Now, they would finish at the bottom of the SEC. And that's the goal. That's what you're building towards. So you don't want to drop these games even whenever you're not pitching your best pitchers and all of that's happening, the weirdness of a midweek and all that. But it is a lot better that you have a win as well. Alan Beck says, time now to have a bad outing as long as you still win. Work on the fielding. Definitely work on the fielding. Joey Shelton says, does Gray Kessinger or Gonzalez still have another year of eligibility? Shortstop needs to be addressed. It's weird that shortstop is a problem for Ole Miss. Isn't it? It's weird. They've been so good for so long. I remember Zach Cozart and those guys at short. Ole Miss always had a big-time shortstop. For whatever reason, they haven't been able to put that together on the field. It's weird. Chase Witter says, I'd take Luke Chang at this point. He actually did pretty good. Yeah, Luke, I would agree with that. Randall is decent at the plate, but a liability on defense. His hit tonight was the biggest hit of the game. And, don't look at me and say, okay, it's just a sacrifice fly to the wall and everything whenever Judd Ugermark and Will Furness didn't do that the inning before. I'm glad that Braden Randall was able to do it, moving the runners around. College baseball, just make them be college baseball players, and it would work, and it would be good. Joey Shelton says J.P. Robertson was electric. He was. I saw the fastball tick up to 97. He looked like the traditional Ole Miss closers that they had pretty consistently, like 2022, 2023, that period of time. He reminded me a lot of them. Now, he wasn't Koenig. Koenig was really good. Really good, but it was good to see that, and you actually got a little bit of innings. I've got a good feeling about this pitching staff moving forward. I don't know if you can play pitch to contact pitchers against this defense. That is my concern. But I will see how it goes. It could have just been an off night. Chase Witter says, yeah, but Owen Pano is worse. Owen Pano did not have a good start on Sunday to his season. All right. So tomorrow night, we're going to live react to the Ole Miss Jackson State game again. Have your comments ready to get ready to participate. We're going to do it shortly after the ball game tonight. I had to wait a little bit of time to do it because I had to record the SEC squad show as much as I could before the live reaction because the baseball game went a little bit long, and I want to make sure that I'm on every SEC squad show, whether baseball or all sports, just because you guys want that. You guys enjoy that, and you want an Ole Miss perspective on there as well. So that is going on. That is why it was a little bit late tonight. Tomorrow, I'll do a quick reaction video as well. And just like tonight, have your comments. Be sure to put where you're commenting from when you do that. And we will do this, and I'm going to try to do it for every Ole Miss baseball game. Now, if Ole Miss baseball is on some kind of a weird network that I do not get, like a Flow Sports or something like that, I will not do a reaction show for that game. But if I can see the game, I will do a reaction show for it. My goal is to do every one of those games for you this season. Thank you for tuning into the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. We're going to continue to talk baseball all this season. We're going all in. Baseball show on Tuesday night. We're going to do live reactions every time we can. Chad Smith and TJ Maloof said that they were going to be contributors over the course of the season. And whenever there's not a midweek game, we will kind of take advantage of that as well. So we'll see how that goes. We're on all the social channels, so check that out as well. And if you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Ole Miss ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedonolemmiss.supercast.com and join the club. If you want to contribute to the podcast, if you want to leave a tip, I recommend joining the Everydayer Club because at least you get something out of it if you do that. It'd be pretty cool. For those of you on video, we're going to send you the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you find a second listen, either Locked On SEC or Locked On College Football. Ole Miss 7, Arkansas State 6, 4-0 on the season. Jackson State tomorrow, and we'll be right here for it. So this is the Locked On Ole Miss. Thank you.